All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into one of the most beautiful and, let's be honest, controversial lines in all of modern sci-fi. It's this one big idea that puts the human heart up against, well, the entire cosmos.
I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about, this single line from Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. Man, it launched a million debates online, right? Is it this deep, profound piece of wisdom, or is it just, cheesy, sentimental fluff stuck in the middle of a serious sci-fi movie?
And that really is the big question, isn't it? Are we just talking about beautiful poetry here? Or is there a chance it could be some kind of secret key to, I don't know, understanding the universe? Or maybe just our place in it? So, yeah, let's break it all down.
Okay, first things first, we gotta get the context right, because the movie doesn't just drop this line in a casual conversation. No, this idea comes out at a moment of absolute total desperation for the entire human race. This is not some philosophical coffee chat. So picture this, the crew of the Endurance. They have to make this impossible choice. Which planet do they go to next? They've got barely enough fuel, and the data they have, it's shaky at best. If they make the wrong choice, that's it. Game over for humanity. And that's the moment Dr. Brand throws out this pretty radical idea. Her argument is basically this. Her love, this incredibly powerful and persistent feeling she has for an astronaut who's already on one of those planets, that's not just a feeling. She's saying, treat it like data. She's suggesting that because love is something we can observe, and because it's so incredibly powerful, it has to be something more, something fundamental to the universe itself, not just, a trick our brains came up with. Okay, so you hear that and it sounds beautiful, right? But it immediately slams right into everything we know from biology and neuroscience. I mean, what is an emotion, scientifically speaking? So how in the world do you reconcile these two ideas? Because on one hand, you've got the movie saying love is some kind of higher dimensional artifact. And on the other hand, science is over here telling us it's just a complex electrochemical reaction. I mean, those two things sound like they're from completely different worlds. Right. So if you're looking at this from a strictly scientific, materialist point of view, there's really no big mystery. Love isn't some magical cosmic force that pulls people across galaxies. Nope. It's a very specific, very physical cocktail of chemicals going off inside our brains. And look, this isn't just a theory. It's backed up by some pretty solid data. According to researchers at Harvard Medical School, that intense feeling of falling in love, it's basically a stress response. Yeah, really. It just floods your brain with all these hormones. It jacks up your cortisol and dopamine, but it actually lowers your serotonin. And that's exactly why it can feel, well, a lot like an obsession. And you know what? There's a really practical evolutionary reason for all this chemical chaos. Think about it. Human babies are completely helpless for years. So from this point of view, love is just a super effective survival tool. It's the social glue that makes your parents stick around long enough to raise their kids. It totally explains why love is so powerful, and you don't even need to bring a fifth dimension into it. And that right there is the heart of the scientific pushback. Just like this Reddit user puts it, love is tied to the brain that creates it. Once that brain is gone, the love is gone too. It doesn't just hang around in the universe like some kind of independent energy force. But wait a second. Before we just write this all off as movie magic, it's super important to look at the specific rules that the movie Interstellar sets up for itself. The film has its own logic, and it's pretty consistent. So was the movie just throwing science out the window for some metaphysical BS? A lot of critics certainly thought so, but the answer is not really. In fact, the whole plot is carefully built on some very real and frankly, very complicated physics. I mean, Christopher Nolan literally brought on a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, Kip Thorne, to make sure the science was as solid as possible. The way they showed the black hole, Gargantua, the insane effects of time dilation, all of that is based on Einstein's actual equations. And because the movie is so rigorous with its science, it kind of forces you to take its more out-there ideas seriously too. And this is where it gets really interesting. The climax of the film makes a really important distinction between gravity and love. So Cooper's inside the black hole, right? He finds this thing called the Tesseract. It's a 5D space where time is a physical dimension he can move through. Gravity is the tool he uses to physically send a message back in time. But love is what guides him. So let's get this straight.
According to the movie's own rules, love is not the force that bends time and space. Gravity does that. Love is more like a coordinate system, a user interface. It's the only thing that allows Cooper to sift through an infinite number of moments and find the one specific point he needs, Murph's bedroom, at that exact right moment. It's his GPS for the fifth dimension.
Okay, so we've got the hard science and we've got the movie's internal physics, but there's a third way to look at all this. Let's step back and think about it from a more philosophical, humanistic angle. What does love's power mean in our own lives? What if the transcendence we're talking about isn't physical at all? What if it's psychological? I mean, love doesn't actually change the laws of physics. We know that. But it absolutely 100% changes our experience of time and space. You know this is true. An hour with someone you love, it can feel like 5 minutes. Poof, it's gone. But a week spent waiting for them, that can feel like a year. Our emotions completely warp our perception of time passing. And this is how love lets us touch the infinite, even in our short lives. It's how we keep a connection alive with people we've lost. Through our memories, that relationship continues on, crossing the one distance that should be impossible, death. And if that's not a form of transcendence, I don't know what is.
So where does that leave us? Well, the key thing here is that there isn't one simple, easy answer. What we have are 3 really different, but also really compelling, ways to look at what Dr. Brand said.
Okay, let's lay them out. Perspective 1, the hard science view. Love is brain chemistry, plain and simple. It's born in the brain, it dies with the brain. It doesn't transcend a thing. Perspective 2, the movie's internal logic. It's narrative physics. Here, love is a real artifact from a higher dimension that acts as a guide. And finally, perspective 3, the humanistic philosophy. Love is a powerful psychological force that changes our experience of time and space through memory and meaning. And that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. Is love powerful because, as Interstellar suggests, it can actually defy the laws of physics? Or is its true power something else? Is it powerful because it gives deep, profound meaning to the cold, hard physics that we are all bound by? Maybe that's the most transcendent thing of all.